Hi guys, welcome to Synova's Crime Files on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Today we have ex-gangster Sidney Heard with us for some more of his true crime tales. He has been highlighted in my first true crime book, Unorganized Crime, which you can see on my wall and on his. You can get your copy on Amazon if you would like to see more stories and read more stories about his life. Today we're going to be talking about one of the big things in his life where he was counterfeiting African gold coins called the Kruggerand. And we're going to talk about how the successes, the failures, and all of the chaos that came with that story. Welcome, Sidney. Thanks for being with us.
All right, I enjoyed it. Okay, well, I'm going to start off the Kruggerand deal. Started off as a weird adventure. Here's how it happened. I'd gone out that night partying in the middle of the week, visited one girlfriend, saw another girlfriend, and I ended up in my office at about 2 o'clock in the morning. I had this real nice office. Well, I used to love, and this is probably was an ego trip. I loved to get the Wall Street Journal because, you know, that's where the big people got their deal. But I used to love to read all the news and read about investments and stuff like that because that's how you learn something. Well, I was reading about a bank robbery in Canada where they broke in over the weekend, and they claimed that a lot of the safe deposit box had Kruggerands. And I thought to myself, what the hell's a Kruggerand? And they didn't have no estimate of what they were worth, but it was a big bank robbery in Canada. So that day I go down to the coin shop, Ray's coin shop, who I knew Ray real well. I said, what's a Kruggerand cost? He said, right now they're close to $800. I said, well, I want to buy one. So I bought a 1967 Kruggerand. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, well, you know. So I'm thinking, well, I wonder if I can figure out how to counterfeit these because I know with the newspaper clipping, I can go to a lot of people and say, hey, the mob's got these for sale at a discount price. So what I do is I get a hold of Bill Langford, who, you know, him and me had done a bunch of illegal stuff together. And I said, Bill, what do you know about metal and all that? And he's got going about that he could probably make it out of gunmetal, which used to be toy soldiers were made out of. We could buy toy soldiers, melt them down, and he thought he could do that. So I said, okay, well, tell me what you need. So he goes out and he does it halfway and he gets caught, and the guy that he gets it done to in some other town was a retired FBI agent, blew the whistle on him. So, and then I ended up holding a bunch of the stupid coins, and he had to make an agreement to return them all. And then when he told them I had it, oh God, they went crazy. Sidney Heard, how did he get them? Oh my God. So we ended up, you know, he play bargained out for nothing, just returned the coins because he didn't know what he was doing. So, but then he found a company in California called California Emblem Company. Now they would make them, and we got the legal right on them. That is, you could copy a coin, a foreign coin, as long as you put the word copy on it. And you put the word copy on the lapel on the other side of where the Kruggerand went. So I said, well, what are they going to cost us? He said, well, the only thing is they're made out of synthetic bronze, but the weight won't be right because there's no, and then I started studying metal. There's no way you can get the size of a Kruggerand the way like gold does, 22 pennyweight, because that's the way gold is. I mean, it's funny that, how can I get a piece of metal? You can't. Gold weighs by gold, you know, and that's why gold's so worth so much money. At that time, there was running a little over $800 for 22 pennyweights. So, and that's what they call a troy ounce. So I said, well, he said, but we can take the word lapel off, and with a little drill thing, whoop, 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 right off, and we can gold plate them, and then we can put them in these little plastic things that are made out of cardboard. But then they weigh well over the 22 pennyweight. Right. I said, well, all right then. I said, I said, what these are going to cost us? Now, here's the part that used to crack me up. We paid $2.29 for each coin. And they were worth $800 on the market. So, you know, you got to figure the deal there. That was a pretty good return to me. So
well, you said that you got a bottle of liquid gold, and it, what, cost you $85?
Yeah, $85 for a bottle of liquid gold and a little gold machine. Yeah. So, and I go to Dave Merchant, who I've done a bunch of illegal stuff with, and I said, hey, Dave, how good's your credit at the bank? What? I said, go see what you can, how much money you can borrow on 300 Kruggerands. And I show him the newspaper clip. So he runs to Robert Ringo, the bank, and the bank said, they'd load him $35,000 per 100.
Mhm.
So that was a little bit of money we thought was pretty good. So we get 300 right away, and I fix them all up, put them in the deal, and I go to the bank with them. I said, now these guys are out of Chicago here. We can't be screwing them around. We need the cash. Well, they had a hell of a time getting up all that cash money. So the first deal went down pretty good. We got 100 and some odd thousand. Well, then the banker got greedy because David owed money. He wanted to see if he could get a hold of another 300. So to make a long story short, we got rid of $270,000 we put up for collateral at the bank. Now, at that same time, and this is going on, I had a friend of mine in Houston, Texas, named Bill Anderson. And me and Bill played bridge together, and we did 2-3 illegal arsons together. So I trusted Bill. Well, he's broke. And I don't want to say uncle, but he's my buddy, like a dad. I said, well, I'll tell you what to do. Here's what to do. You're playing bridge down there all the time. There's plenty of old ladies that got lots of money. Tell them that this is a one-time deal. They buy the coin, put them in a safe deposit box, and when they get up to $1,200, $1,400, we'll help them sell them. They don't need to sell them. We'll help them sell them. So he said, okay. And I said, no, you can't let them old ladies go sell the coins. They can buy them at 100 at a time and for $35,000. I'll give you $5,000. What? I said, what are counterfeit? Don't know. What do you think, they're real? And he said, okay. I said, now make sure you get old ladies. So that just throw it on the side, help him out if he makes a deal okay. At the same time, a guy from that Dave Merchant knew out of Dallas, knew a broker, and I'll use his name. His name was Raj Siegel. He was from Iran. I always get Iran, Iraq mixed up. Whatever one Hussein was in and who got killed, whatever. The one we invaded the country, Iraq or Iran, whatever it was. But anyways, and he's interested in buying them. So I fly down there, and I think, well, this may be a waste of time. Go out and meet the guy. And the guy said, well, I'll buy $5 million worth. And my heart liked to skip 20,000 beats. I said, 5 million? Yeah, he said, because I'll buy them and I'll ship them over to Iran, Iraq, and they'll just put them in the vault and save them forever. And how much can I buy them for? So I strike a deal with him at $40 a piece. And I'm going to sell him $5 million worth. So then I said, you really got $5 million? He come on. We went to the Republic National Bank in Dallas, walked in the safe deposit box. Each safe deposit box had $1 million in it. I like that heart attack. So I had that all set up. I'm going to use Brinks to bring them down from Amarillo. I'll borrow Norman Blankenship's Learjet. I got my mind's going 100 miles, $5 million. You better believe it. Well, at the same time we were doing this, and I was buying cocaine. So I went down there to the border where I was getting mine, and the guy I was getting it from was a diplomat. And he could come over with diplomat immunity because he was head of the Department of Agriculture in Mexico. So I explained to my interpreter, explained to him, these coins are no good. But if you put them in a gold necklace, they will weigh. Nobody's ever going to challenge a 14-karat gold necklace. They'll weigh good, and you'll be able to sell them. I'll let you have, and at that time, you could get a key for about 10, 15,000. I said, I will give you 100 coins that would be worth on the market $80,000. I'll let you have that, and you give me a kilo of cocaine. And we'll do this just once a month. So he said,
so
okay.
He actually knew that they were fake.
Oh, yeah, he knew. Well, yeah, I wasn't about to tell him they weren't fake. But right. The whole object was, if you ever saw a Kruggerand and a gold necklace in Mexico in 1967, you don't want it because it may be a fake one. Because when we did the first deal, got a kilo. Well, now you got to realize, I only got $2.90 in these coins, and I just sold 100 coins to the Mexicans for a kilo of cocaine, and at that time was worth 50 grand. So that was a pretty good money making. Plus, I was making good money on that and making money there. So then I'm lining up the deal. We're getting the coins in. Where I'd screwed up, Bill had gone out of town, and he said he had a shipment of coins coming in at the airport. Well, I went and picked them up, and I scratched the name on them. And that girl knew me because she had partied with me before. And she said, oh, you picking these up for Bill? Yeah. Well, later in the indictment, that was the only link they had me to the Kruggerand, was because I picked them up, and that girl didn't realize when she gave me up that, oh, yeah, Sidney picked them up, because that automatically got me where I picked them up. But anyways, now we get down there. Bill's got this deal set up. He's got 2 different people, and he checks out a Ventura jewelry store in Houston. So I call a friend of mine and I said, what are these guys? He said, oh, they're halfway, they're okay, you know. I said, what do you mean they're okay? Is anybody going to stand good for them? He said, oh, no, they're not Italian, but they have been known to buy stolen property and this and that. And I'm sure that, you know, if you're working an illegal deal with them. So when I go to the bank to buy them, I'm selling them 100 coins for 35,000. I go in the bank. Now I don't park where they can see me. I park here, and then I'm going out on a one-way street in a different part of the bank. But I always like to do my dealings inside a bank because nobody's going to start pulling guns and shooting at a bank. Well, I go in there and I give the guy the suitcase. I give him 100 coins, and he looks at me. He said, are these real? And I said, let me explain something to you right now. There's gold on them. If you don't want them, here's your 35 grand back. Give me my coins back. I don't need to mess with you, idiot. Now he's wired. Oh, this is wired. Which later the judge threw the case out because buyer beware law. I never said I said there were gold on them. I never actually said they were. So he gives me the 35 and they think they're going to arrest me, but I go out a different door and they miss me. But now they got another one set up. So I tell Bill, I'll catch you later. So I go back to the hotel. Suzanne's at a hotel, the Galleria, $1 hotel, her and Gary and another friend, his wife. So I give her the money and I said, now, if I ain't back on the next deal, you know, call my lawyers and go straight back to Amarillo. Don't mess around. Here's the hold on to this 35,000. We'll get it later. We were going to Galveston. So I go to the next deal. Well, they go inside the bank vault and they're out short of money. Well, what was cool was by them going in the bank vault, the recording and the wire won't work inside the vault. So the wiretap they got on don't even work at all, period. So when they come out, they arrest us. And they took them an hour almost to get the rest of the money. I almost walked out of it. I realized something was wrong. Well, here's the whole story that we find out later in life, which I never knew, you know. And the whole deal on the Kruggerands was, you know, a lot of it I beat. And in Houston, what happened was 4 years before that. Now, I didn't know this, or I would have never done nothing in Houston. Some people had took and made a bunch of phony Kruggerands. They tried to sell them to the mob, the real mob. They all got killed. I think there were 3 or 4 people got killed, and they scattered their whole body with the phony coins to let everybody know. Well, that was 4 years ago. If I didn't even have known that, there's no way I'd ever gone to Houston. Because now, when a deal about Kruggerands came up right away, everybody in the world was on that. The prosecuting attorney, they had Honcho of Harris County, everybody was on that.
Right.
So that,
and then you had ties to the mob, and so you would have been a scapegoat.
Oh, no. At the same time we were doing this, I came up with an idea. Well, if these coins will sell, what about Swiss Susie bars? So I had Langford get 10,000 certification. They gave the lady $10,000 to print them up to certified. What it does is a certified number. The machine to type it costs $8,000, which, you know, you got to spend money to make money.
Right.
But you can type in the number on the gold bar. Okay, now this time I had the bars made a little bit bigger so they would weigh 22 pennyweight. They go into a plastic thing. On the back is a certification paper, which people sign and date all the time. So this way it's certified. So I got these bars, and I got 10,000 bars coming, made up. I've got them sold to the Chicago people for $2.5 million. They know they're phony. They're going to borrow $5 million off a bank in the Bahamas against them with all the certification paper. Then they're going to burglarize the bank, and the insurance company would have covered their $5 grand. So not only would they have made the $5 grand that borrowed, then they would have got another $5 grand back because of the amount of money they were worth. Right. So it was a pretty good deal. And I was setting that up, and Bill had no idea what I was doing with it. He was just doing all the flunky stuff because, you know, I never went out there and did any of that. Right. But the Kruggerand deal, and later, and the U.S. attorneys and all them said if they would have realized that I had that deal going with Iran, they would have waited until I sold them coins to Iran and then busted the load going to Iran. Right. Because if I would have got to sell them coins, they would have went to Iran, they would have went in a vault, who would have known about it? They never would have. Right. It would have been,
Right, and that's an international situation. Yeah.
Well, see, what was good about the Kruggerands, I had my lawyers check it out originally. We checked out this. If you went into a grocery store and you want to buy something, you have to use money legal tender.
Right.
Well, at that time, a Kruggerand was from South Africa. Counterfeiting was not a coin of legal tender.
Right.
What they changed the counterfeit laws in our cases, nowadays it says any coin of the realm.
Right.
In other words, any coin you counterfeit in the whole realm. I never realized that at that time it was messing with, it comes under the Secret Service Act because it messes with the economy of the country, counterfeiting does. I never even knew that myself.
Right.
I thought I knew it. I thought I
Right.
was a smart cookie at that time.
Right.
But what got me is they could never prove us for counterfeiting. What they did is they indicted us on 17-count indictment and for using the mail to defraud. And it was a postal thing. You know, they could show that we got the coins in California. Of course, they went out to California when Langford gave up everything. And they confiscated that die right away. They didn't want that die out because that die, it was perfect. I mean, it was a real die. Nowadays, you could probably make that same die on them three-dimensional, whatever they do it nowadays. But at that time, it was a hot item because gold was worth so much money.
Mm-hmm.
And in Mexico, of course, you know, we got to sell a few down there. You know, I never like to talk about how many went to Mexico, but a lot of them did for trading it for cocaine. But they were happy because they were making out like a bandit. You know,
Yeah.
they were putting them in necklaces and getting $750, $800 for them all over Mexico, South America, all of them, because they went like hotcakes. And I'm sure they were brokering them out, you know, like, okay, we got these coins we let you have for X amount of dollars, because they weren't paying nothing at that time for cocaine, even though it was real high in the United States. It was it was before crack hit, so it was like $2,000 an ounce. You know, so.
Okay, so I have brought out my huge file on you, and I have probably half again this much of newspaper reports that I found on you that are on the computer that I didn't take time to print out. Well, here is one that I will kind of show the viewers, and I'll put a screenshot in the video when I go to edit it.
Right.
But it is from the Miami Herald, March 5th, 1981, and it is showing a real Kruggerand and a fake one, and it's talking about how good the Kruggerands were that you made. It doesn't mention you, but that's what it's talking about was your operation here. But then it says something that you find ridiculous, that is not true. It says real Kruggerands also make a ringing sound when dropped. The copies make a thud.
No.
You dispute that. You say that the real ones and the fake ones, they sound the
same thing, because it's synthetic bronze.
Right.
It weighed 14 point something pennyweight, where a coin weighed 22. It's not the ringing of the coin itself. Gold, and what's good about a gold coin is you can look at gold coins. You can look at 10 good coins, and they all look different, even though they're made to do what I saw the same die. It's just the color, because it's different type of gold.
Right.
And that part wasn't there. They would have. Fact is, I just realized something. You know, we still have that BT. What do you call it? The tape recording. One of these days, we got to get somebody to loan us that, because I got that whole tape on all the Kruggerand things.
Yes, we got to figure out how to get that digital.
Because David Frericks, he was the head of the Secret Service in that area.
Yeah.
He got on TV like everybody, even the U.S. attorneys, they would laugh at him.
Yeah.
This is the sound with a pencil of a real Kruggerand. This is the sound, and it was the same freaking sound. The fact was, it was the same sound, and then he never kind of realized it was the same sound. When I learned something that was really funny in a way, when I tried to plea bargain with the Kruggerand deal in Houston, they wanted that money back because it was state buy money, $35,000, and I got away with the first one. They wanted it, and I could hear them when they were locking up talking about it. Well, we don't know where it is, and blah blah blah. So they took and they made a deal, and I had a plea bargain agreement for 10 years probation. If I returned to 35,000, they dropped the charges. I told them at that time, Suzanne was already back in Amarillo. She'd already sent the lawyers coming down to see me and everything. They were setting a bond. And while we were talking about and everything, I told this lawyer, the prosecutor in Harris County, I said, you know, if you mess over me one little bit, I'll have so many lawyers in that courtroom and make you look like a jerk. I was just blowing smoke. I didn't, because they had the FBI there, the Secret Service. Well, when my lawyers get there, they in turn, they're not smart enough. They know it, so they hire Don Irwin and Bob Tarrant, some of the best legal minds in Houston, Texas. They were paid $25,000 to show the city of Houston police officers how to write a search warrant. Then they spent the rest of their lives showing how to break a search warrant, right? So, I mean, that's how good they were. Bob was strictly, had been disbarred from operating in federal. A snitch gave him a gun that was his machine gun and took the plug out of it. And they got him for that. So he had possession of an illegal firearm. But he had Bob Tarrant do all the legal work. And that was the same time that Woody Harrelson's sister, Star, was going to trial. So I had the same lawyer. Everybody in Amarillo could be, all in the world, I got to have these high dollar attorneys. Mm-hmm. But when we went there the next day, they said, whoa, whoa, whoa. You have no right to make it as a plea bargaining agreement. It has to be done with the Secret Service. So we go over to the Secret Service, right? Now, the crime was committed originally in Amarillo. Mm-hmm. We're in Houston. That's the Northern District. Right. So they're in turn at the Secret Service downtown Houston. I'm in a suit and all that. So I decided I got to go to the bathroom. So I go, and this door says, I got to tell this has got to go in. It says, do not be admitted. And I thought, wow, that's where I need to go. What's going on there? I go in there, and this floor, this is a monstrous building, and all over rows and rows and rows are big discs, like, I know they're tape recordings. And I go over there, and there's a guy sitting there all by himself. And so he sees me in a suit and tie, and I said, hey, what's going on? Everything all right? He said, yeah. He said, I said, so what do you got? Just Texas? I'm just saying that hypothetically. He said, well, we got Texas, Louisiana, New Mexico, but we're going to branch out pretty soon. I said, and I'm just talking because I don't know nothing. I said, them old code works work good. He said, oh, yeah. A certain code is mentioned. We get that recording right away, and we pass it on to other agencies. And I realized this is a gigantic, monstrous wiretap illegally all over through the Secret Service. Comes under national security, which was really, they didn't even have that at them days. But you
just walked in on it.
Yeah, if you said something like drugs or bombs or threat, that automatically, if it was on a phone call conversation, it picked up. They knew exactly what area it was, everything. And it was interesting to find that out, by accident. I was looking for the bathroom, right? But to me, it was fine. So what happened was, my lawyers are negotiating, so they called the Northern District in Dallas, and they get a hold of Shirley LaBelle. She's the number 2 head honcho. Mm-hmm. She said, Sidney Heard, I'm not sure if I know about him, but I'll check with Robert McRoberts in Lubbock. Oh my God, Robert goes, Sidney Heard, we've been after him for 3 years. He's under a federal task force, blah, blah, blah. We got filing cabinets. We got so many agents looking for him, watching him 24. Oh my God. They no way we'll agree to any plea bargain agreement with them. So they wouldn't agree at that time with any plea. Oh no. And that's when I found out that how bad they were really after me in Amarillo. And found out later they had 3, 4 filing cabinets. They had that one agent, Charlie Baylor, who was an AT&F agent, that when I sold a house and all in the same day, he rented a 2-story bedroom up across the street and had my name, Sid, written on a bullet. He for sure I was going to burn that house and he was going to shoot me coming out of it while I was on fire. And we become good friends in a way. Because I will tell you why I got to tell this and you could put it in it. He tells me that, he said, yeah, one time, he said, one of your old buddies probably, I went to Adam's Rib and I put my gun inside as a restaurant disco called Adam's Rib. And he put his gun in the trunk. I said, oh yeah, that's a smart move there. Right. He said, why? I said, because your license plate on there shows a federal freaking thing. They know if they see that car parked there, they know that your gun's in the trunk. They're going to always bust in the trunk. He said, I never know that. Boy, yeah, the license plate gives you away. You got them Chryslers. And I said, my God. So I said, what happened? He said, well, I lost my best gun. It was a snub nose 38 and all that. Smith & Wesson. He said, and I had that gun for years and years. So I said, okay. So I put the word out. Anybody that was wanting, and sure enough, I ran into a guy at a 3rd, 4th thing down the road. And it cost me $200, but I bought the gun. I gave it to him as a present. He said, I said, no. But just to show you how small, you get talking about stuff happens. Here's something that happened a year ago, and you end up tracking the gun down for the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Well,
was
we're
going to
going to
cheat.
have to make a video because I labeled you the Amarillo arsonist, and I don't think anyone's ever called you that before until I
No,
did in the book. But
the
you
Supreme Court
actually,
lists me
you,
as a professional.
yeah, there's plenty of documentation on it, but no one's ever labeled you as the Amarillo arsonist. But we will have to do a video for our viewers. Telling about the 22 fires that you set, because some of them were pretty interesting the way you worked them out. And then, of course, at the time, the forensics wasn't up to par,
Oh
and
no.
so it was much easier to set a fire back then as an insurance scam. I mean, we'll make that clear. You never
Oh yeah.
never set fire to anything that someone would get hurt in, other than maybe yourself.
Right. Oh yeah.
There's a couple times you had some close calls. So maybe our next video, we will
Okay.
go into some of the chaotic adventures of you as the Amarillo arsonist and how you ended up getting a plea agreement for that. So you were never actually caught for that.
Well, the
So
most important thing, when I plea bargained, they wanted them Kruggerands
yeah.
and they wanted them Susie bars. They wanted them because I had told a snitch who I knew was recording my conversation. I said, before I let the feds take me, I'll go to Chicago. I'll stand in front of the bus station. And I used the wrong term. I said, now every black man that goes by, I'm going to hand them a Kruggerand. Let's see how much fun they'll have finding 4,900 Kruggerands in the Chicagoland area. And I was just saying that to this guy because I knew he was going to tell everybody about it. So I knew how bad they didn't want them Kruggerands in circulation.
Right.
At
Well, and
that time.
you did a lot of blowing smoke back then because people thought you had a lot of connections that you didn't actually have.
No.
And then there was a lot of times that you would say something and they would blow it out of proportion because they think that you're, actually, connected officially with the mob, and just because you have a few friends that are in the Italian mob doesn't necessarily mean you are in the Italian
Right.
mob. And so you got
Well, just
away
like
with a lot of stuff just because of your assumed connections.
when I knew this one guy was typing my conversation, I told him, I said, that's all right. Every time the grand jury meets in federal grand jury, I know what's going on. I got that whole place bugged. They spent, later I found out, $10,000 looking for the bug that never existed in that grand jury room. And they told me about it later. They said, we spent $10,000 looking for the bug. Where's the bug? What bug? That bug. I said, there's no bug. I was just telling them that. I know he'd tell you all that and drive you all crazy. It used to be, it was to me, I know I was terrible. It'd be like if I was going down the road and I knew they were following me, I'd pull on the side and then they'd pull in front. Then I'd get right behind them and I'd follow them all over until they went back to the federal building. And then I'd wave to them like, okay, that was fun. Or I'd go to the mall. I'd park my car in the mall where they could see it. And I'd wave to them as I was going in the mall. And then as soon as I got in the mall, I had Mexicans pick me up on the other side. My car would sit there all day long. They'd be staking out, trying to find me in the mall. Could never find me in the mall. I wasn't even in the mall. I mean, I know that was childish, stupidest things, but to me, it was, it was hilarious back in them days because, well, like the time.
Well, if they're going to sit there all day and never go in and see if you're actually there, that's kind of on them.
Well, the one was best when Suzanne put me in the trunk and took me to Lubbock. And I got on an airplane and they were waiting for me in Houston. They were two police and everything. Right. And here I get off with a cowboy hat, a bolo, glasses, cowboy boot with my pants tucked in, my panhandle slim on, and two guys with me. We're going to rodeo, boy. You better believe we're going to walk right past them. And they're trying to arrest me so I can go in front of the judge in handcuffs and not in a suit and tie.
Right. Right. We'll have to go into some more of those stories. I remember in the book I'm a pretty sarcastic type person, and so I had to put in there that's the only time a gangster willingly got into the trunk of a car. So I had to put a little bit sarcastic in that. So, but you had to get past them somehow, and the trunk was the best way to do it.
You know what? Somebody told me the other day at the casino about something about that. I like the way that Synova put that in there. You don't have to be a wise guy. You don't have to be an Italian to be a wise guy.
Right.
I said, oh, yeah,
I need to
kinda,
get you one of those T-shirts. I've got T-shirts that say that on there, and I'm going to be ordering a few, so I'm going to have to order you one. Don't
correct.
be Italian to be a wise guy.
Yeah, I'll wear that to the casino. Right.
Definitely. Okay, well, thank you for joining us. We will schedule another interview, and we will talk about the Amarillo arsons.
Okay. Have a great day.
You too.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bones Coffee Company. You can forget about boring coffee when you drink Bones Coffee. Not only do they offer a variety of flavors such as strawberry cheesecake and maple bacon, they are a family-owned company that puts great detail not only in their coffee, but in the artwork that comes on each individual bag. Bones Coffee has a coffee club that will deliver your favorite coffee to your door every month. If that wasn't enough, they also have some amazing swag to offer. Check out Bones Coffee Company today. I'll have my affiliate links in the show notes for you.